What's up, everyone? I know you're probably expecting Nick to do this because this is, in fact, Nick's subsegment. But continuing the trend of the last couple of, weeks or so, Father Nurgle has blessed this house, and therefore I get to do this wonderful video about the London Grand Tournament, which just happened not this past weekend, but the previous weekend. But the event was like really huge and awesome, and it bleeds over into Monday, so we couldn't do it last week, but now we have all the results, and so I'm going to be going over everything this week. If you're new to the channel, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. I hope you guys have an awesome time. This is Art of War. We are a competitively focused 40K YouTube channel. We also have a really awesome subscription service called The War Room, where we post a bunch of premium content. We kind of really go in depth in our tactical videos, and we have a ton more battle reports. You can check that out. There's a 3-day free trial right now at thewarroom.vhx.tv. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right into this. Spoiler alert, Chaos Space Marines won the London Grand Tournament. Huge, massive congratulations to Liam Vsl. I'm terribly sorry if I am going to mispronounce anyone's names. I am the worst at pronouncing anything, but I will do my absolute best. So I'm just going to give a blanket apology here. Funny story. I've actually played with Liam's list because I had to get a practice game with CSM for various nebulous reasons. And I needed a list that was good, so I ended up copying his because this was the day after LGT just finished. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it, and then I'm going to spend some time talking about the the top 15 lists, because there's a bunch of really interesting ones in here, and they kind of tell a really unique story. Then I can go through and I'll talk about kind of the pairings and the matchups and how everything shook out. And in the meanwhile, I'll spend some time talking with chat. So if you have any questions for me, if you want to talk to me, if you want to tell me how awesome I am, you can do that in the chat. I'll be watching. Also, today's fact of the day is not very important, but I had to put on a jacket this morning when I walked out of my house, and that felt great because I'm tired of it being hot. And it was 50 degrees, and I felt awesome. I was like warm, it was cool. Okay, anyways, Liam Vsl's Chaos Space Marine list. Let's go ahead and talk about this piece of awesomeness. So, this is a very, very MSU-style Chaos Space Marine list. It does not have Abaddon. It does not have a big break of Obliterators, which are two things that you regularly see, but instead it has stuff everywhere. It's not quite as skewed as the Chaos Space Marine lists that we've kind of seen, like Nick wrote one that's like 3 Raptors, 3 Warp Talons, 6 Legionaries and Rhinos, 3 Havocs, or just mass stuff. Not quite there, but it is actually getting kind of close. So what do we have? We have 3 Undivided Chaos Lords with Demon Hammers. These guys actually are kind of terrifying, because once a game they get like +1 strength, attacks, AP, and damage. So their hammer goes to strength 9, AP 3, damage 3, devastating wounds with like 6 attacks hitting on 3s. And they're undivided, so you put them in the Chosen, which, surprise, surprise, are going to be later. And then you can use Profane Zeal, so they get flurry rolls to hit and wound, and those hammers will slap very hard. Additionally, there's 10 cultists for Battle Line. These guys are great because they let you sticky an objective. I think they're awesome, and I think 1 squad of cultists is pretty much mandatory in every CSM list just for that option alone. They're also just 10 idiots that die for the Chaos Gauze in glorious fashion, and you don't really care if they die. There's 2 Chaos Rhinos. 75 points for a Rhino is fantastic in any faction that can take them. 1 squad of 5 Chosen with a melange of weapons that I don't really care about. Another squad of 5 Chosen with the same melange of weapons that I don't care about. Then a squad of 10 Chosen with probably the same amount of those weapons that I don't really care about. Basically, the squad hits very hard. Some guys are damage 2, some guys are damage 1. One guy lets you reroll your pack tests. There are some random assorted combi weapons and pistols in here. It shoots like enough to kill 3 or 4 guardsmen, maybe 1 Space Marine. And then it punches really hard. So, story time with Quinton. I don't exactly know how I ended up here, but I was playing this Chaos Space Marine list into Eldar, which is a weird kind of alternate paradox universe, but that was the universe we were living in a week ago. And my opponent was like, I have the Avatar, Kane, Fortune, go forward. And this squad of 10 Chosen picked up the Avatar. They just looked at it, And they said, please go away, good sir. Because what I did, I packed it for lethals. Then I spent the strat for full rolls to hit and wound. And then I rolled a little hot, and I think I also threw a grenade. But the Chaos Lord rolled like 3 6s and just did 6 dev wounds right off the bat. And then the lethal hits on like 40 attacks from the various chosen weapons is a bunch of extra saves that are all AP2, so he just like died. So this squad for 220 hits really hard, and then there's 2 5-mans in a Rhino. So you have 1 brick that can just go kill anything, and then 2 kind of 5-mans with lords. It hits surprisingly hard for their points that can go and kind of skirmish and contest objectives. And that skirmishing plus hitting harder than your points cost is really kind of the theme of this list. There's a Forge Fiend, another Forge Fiend. 1 is Nurgle, 1 is Chaos Undivided, so 1 can get 4 rolls to hit and wound, 1 of which gets sustained 5s when it packs. 2 2-man Obliterators, again, 1 Undivided, 1 Nurgle. 2 5-man squads of Warp Talons, 3 Nurglings, Selesky, and the Blue Scribes. So what is this list trying to do? Very broadly speaking, it's a bunch of units that are not a ton of commitment, except for that 1 unit of Chosen, and even then that's only 300 points, that will kill way more than they should. Because the fact that you can add either sustained or lethal to anything in your army, and if you're coinciding with whatever your god mark is, you can get to sustained or lethal 5s, at whatever your Khorne or Nurgle or whatever. You have these units that punch way above their weight. And additionally, they're all kind of annoying to kill because some things can't be shootable, everything is a little bit tough because it's in power armor. Chosen have 3 wounds, which is actually a massive breakpoint into something like Eldar, which we can talk about in a little bit. You have Rhino, so you can survive the Night Spinnering. This is a masterfully crafted list that is beautifully done and amazing into the meta right now. It might have some problems with like triple Redemptors, but even then, multiple Obliterators, multiple Forge Fiends are actually also quite good into Redemptors, so even you have play there. This unit is amazing, or this list is amazing. Mad props to Liam, who obviously piloted it very, very well. If you're looking for a CSM list, this is a great place to start. Oh, I forgot to mention the Demon Allies. One thing you're going to start seeing a lot of is Selesky. She is insane for 120 points. She's like a 9 wound monster with like higher toughness than she should have. I feel like 7, 8, or 9. It's somewhere in that upper mid tier. Then she's got a 4-up invuln. She's a dev wound 2d6 shot flamer, a 3 damage axe, and she stands back up when she dies for the first time. She's just crazy. Tickling Abaddon's chin. All right, cool. Yeah, so I just a good list. Excellent choice, and we'll go through exactly what he played and all of the people that he beat to get to the top. So what else do we have here? So we have CSM first spot, and then it looks like LGT had a 10-person top cut, and then kind of a Swiss pairings below that. So everyone in the top cut played a bunch of games. Everyone below that played less. So the 10 players in the top cut, we have CSM. Obviously, they just won. The list I just went over. Then Eldar, CSM, Eldar, Raven Guard, really interesting there. Eldar, Dark Angels, CSM, and Chaos Knights. So we're seeing a lot of CSM, and a lot of Eldar, and a little bit of Space Marines, and then one Chaos Knight player who's just kind of holding it out for the Chaos Gods. So that's a pretty different top cut than we would have seen a couple of months ago. There's no GSC here, obviously, but there's still a lot of Eldar and there's a lot of CSM. So we're starting to see those are the kind of the top dogs emerging, which has kind of been consistent with what I have seen. CSM are terrifying. You get a lot of stuff and it all hits really hard. All right, so let's go ahead and take some time and let's talk about these 2 Eldar lists that got in 2nd and 3rd. This is kind of where my expertise is awesome and fun and cool. So this is Hugo. I'm Ricciardi. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, and I almost certainly did. This person, Hugo here, lost to Liam in the final, so this is our 2nd place list. And what do we got here? We have an Autarch, a Farseer, Fuegan, the Solitaire, a Spirit Seer, and a Yinkarn. Then double Night Spinner, 1 unit of Hawks, 3 units of Warp Spiders, and a unit of Wraithguard. This is really standard. It's actually quite similar to where I have been ending up with my Eldar lists. And you'll notice that as you go through these Eldar lists, there's kind of a couple of branching paths that you can go down, but they all end up more or less in the same area, the same vein. Almost everyone's going to have an Autarch Wayleaper. almost everyone is going to have 1 unit of 10 Wraithguard with a Spirit Seer who has Fate's Messenger. Fate's Messenger is this ridiculous enhancement that was never designed to work on Wraithguard. And what it is once per turn, so your turn and your opponent's turn, you can flip a hit, wound, or a save to a 6. What that means is the first shot that it's the Wraithguard doesn't count, or one of the shots in Overwatch automatically hits, or that one of the shots that goes through is automatically devastating wounds. It's not like Fate Dice, you roll and then turn it to a 6, so it's just crazy. Awesome on Wraithguard. That is basically in every single Eldar list that you're going to see. That package is something you really should get to know about, because Wraithguard still have the infantry keyword, they can still Phantasm behind walls. So they're not really as affected by the nerfs that the army took in the most recent Balanced Data Slate. Hugo's Wayleaper sniped Manny's Abaddon in the semifinal. Okay, I'm going to go on a Wayleaper tangent, because everyone takes this guy for the 2 CP a turn. This is this character here with the Phoenix Gem. He is hilariously good at doing damage. I will say to this guy and be like, I need you to kill a Chaos Knight Armiger by yourself, and by gosh golly, he does it way more than he should. Because he has the grenade keyword, he moves 14 inches, then his gun is strength 9, AP 4, D6 plus 3 damage, because he's a Dragon Fusion gun, and then he's good in combat. So, like, he kills 5 Marines by himself very reliably. He's also, like, good enough to go and, like, kill most, like, captains and stuff. There's a really interesting choice where you can either give the Autarch Wayleaper Manda Blasters or a Howling Banshee Mask. The Howling Banshee Mask gives him fights first, which means he's kind of awkward to charge really late game when things are kind of skirmishy. Whereas the Manda Blasters, which Hugo here took, gives him devastating wounds on all of his melee weapons as long as he doesn't target a monster or vehicle. And that means that you can use Fate Dice on him and be like, this 2 damage sword that I have, well, one of these is devastating wounds. Oh, look, I rolled another 6. That's 4 devastating wounds and 2 saves at AP 2 damage too. Have fun, Mr. Captain. Like, he's kind of good. He's great. He kills way more than he should. He's 140 points. He's a lone operative. He gives you 2 CP. He's busted. Still take him. Alright. Farseer is awesome. Fugan and the Solitaire there's kind of an interesting choice you have when you're an Eldar player regarding Fugan or the Solitaire. You can either take a unit of something, Warp Spiders, Shadow Specters, Swooping Hawks, or Rangers. They'll kind of exist on a continuum where they're each about 20 points better than the one above or below them, but cost 20 points more, so they're actually all kind of fair. Or you can take Fugan, who is this lone op with a D6, not a lone op, I'm sorry, he's not a lone op, but he does stand back up, and he's got a 5-up Fuel No Pain, and he's a 2-up save, and his gun is D6 plus 6 damage. Or the Solitaire, who is a lone op that moves 12 plus 2d6 inches and then charges you, who also has precision on his melee weapons. A lot of European lists you're going to notice have Fugan, because he's awesome. He kills a Forge Fiend like 66% of the time. But I personally have been favoring more like units, but I might have to go back and see whether or not I want to add in those characters instead of more units. Additionally, there's a choice right now. You can either take the Avatar Arcane or the Incarn or both, but a lot of lists have been prioritizing taking one over the other simply because you go below the critical mass of stuff I'm starting to find if you take 2 avatars and the Wraithguard brick. The Incarn is awesome. She can still teleport, but I prefer Kane because he does more damage. That being said, what this list is trying to do with double Night Spinners is be a lot more board control-y, where it's trying to kind of box you out. A lot of your priority units are slow because the Night Spinners make you -2 move and you can't advance. Then you're getting pelted by 10 Wraithguard, who will shoot you, and then if you shoot them, shoot you back, or they'll just leave with Phantasm. And then additionally, while that's happening, you have 3 units of Warp Spiders scoring points and killing things, and then a bunch of characters running around and kind of precisioning out whatever needs to happen. This list, kind of the goal behind it is I'm going to be where you're not. I'm not going to brawl with you, but I'm going to hit you for 5 turns harder than I should be able to hit you and still not get hit back. We'll talk about the matchup between these 2 lists because I've actually played something pretty similar, but it's a very interesting game that I think actually favors the CSM list. I'm not 100% certain, I haven't spoken to him, but I think Liam Vsl really had the Eldar matchup in mind when he wrote his list because it's actually very good into Eldar, and I can explain why when I go through the matchups. So that is Eldar in a nutshell. Look at Nassim's list. Congratulations to Nassim, friend of mine. Also, same way Leaper. Double Farseer, and the reason why we see that is because we have double Wraithguard here. This is another option that you can go down, where you have 2 Wraithguard bricks, and they both shoot really hard, and they're both awesome, and they both could Phantasm. The issue with double Wraithguard, though, is only one can Phantasm. So if you come across double Wraithguard brick, if you can line up your shots to target both, especially if you have something like a Forge Fiend or Obliterators that are actually quite good at shooting Wraithguard, only one can go back to safety, and you can pretty easily kill the other one. Another interesting thing about Nassim's list that I've been seeing a lot lately is triple Hawks. I was kind of down on Hawks because they compared really poorly to Warp Spiders and Shadow Specters, but with the most recent points increases and the way the game has been shifting, Hawks are incredible, and I really have a hard time running without them. The Hawk's ability is they natively deep strike, and they can go up into the sky at the end of your opponent's turn. So they can just go up, say you draw behind enemy lines, boom, Hawks go do it. Additionally, a lot of Europeans recently have been taking fixed secondaries, and swooping Hawks are awesome if you take, say, behind enemy lines and deploy teleport homers, because they can just go back there, they get you behind and homers every turn. And in the late game, your opponent really doesn't want to spend resources screening out 5 swooping Hawks if they're getting pummeled continuously by an Eldar army. So congratulations to Nassim, double Wraithguard list, which, by the way, is just terrifying. It hits the hardest out of any Eldar list you can write, basically, these days, with the death of the Wraith Knight. Also, Nassim here has the Incarn, which is a theme that we're going to notice a lot, is that European players here at LGT seem to prioritize taking the Incarn over taking the Avatar Arcane. Which is really interesting, because she went up 80 points, but she's still awesome. Alright, Manny Chima, with one of the most Manny Chima lists I've ever seen. This list is the echoes of the first list I had to play Nick. He also ran a bunch of Cursed Cultists. So what does this list do? This list is crazy, and has an awesome name. We have Abaddon, guy here who's cool. Now, Abaddon in this list is here for a couple of reasons. The first is that he punts anything across the table. This guy walks up to a big knight and Super Smash Bros. Flips it off the table. You can see a little animation whenever he finishes attacking. Additionally, Abaddon's pick 3 aura is either full rerolls to hit, or more importantly, a 4-up invulnerable save, which is going to become really important in a little bit. There's 3 Dark Communes, 60 cultists on foot, all of which are Mark and Nurgle. Then 3 maximum squads of Cursed Cultists, 2 Forge Fiends, 2 Warp Talons, and the Blue Scribes. Blue Scribes, great lone operative. They have some other really kind of funny rules, but by and large, they're just good. 2 units of Warp Talons with Slanesh means they can advance and charge. They go 12 plus d6 and then charge you with, like, harder hitting melee than they should have. And they're only 100 points. Great units. Again, 1 Nurgle, 1 Undivided Forge Fiend, which means 1 can pact and 1 can use the strat. So, great. And then we get to the meat of the list. It's a lot of dudes, and all of the dudes have a 4-up invuln save, which is scary. More importantly, these Cursed Cultists are this very awkward unit where it's 6 guys that have 3 wounds and 10 guys that have 1 wound. They all have a 6-up feel no pain. So if you shoot a bunch of damage 1 shots at this unit, they pull the damage 3 wound guys. If you shoot a bunch of damage 3 shots at this unit, they pull the damage 1 guys. There's no efficient way of attacking it. Additionally, it regenerates in both command phases, yours and your opponent's. They're like OC2, and the Torments in this unit hit harder than they should. They're damage 2, they got a bunch of attacks. It's just like annoying and you don't want to fight them. They're harder to kill than they should be. One of them is Nurgle, so it can be not shot at. The other ones are undivided, so you can use the 4 rolls to hit wound strat. The Cult Demagogues in the Dark Communes give them once a game advance and charge, and then they're faster than they should be, and also a base 5 of invuln save. So if you want to have Abaddon transition over into 4 rolls hit aura, which really benefits the cultist mobs and the Cursed Cultists because they don't actually hit that hard without it, you still have some layer of defense if you get punched back. Chaos Cultists hit harder than they should. They're just dudes that you can make unshootable outside 12 with the Nurgle strat, which is really interesting that Manny here decided to go with the combat cultists instead of the shooting cultists. Because what I've been seeing a lot of is you take cultists with lethal hits, so I think you make them Zinch, so you go lethal 5s, or you take a Hell Brute and you get lethal sustained 5s, and they will kill basically anything with a 3-up armor save because it's just so many shots. Because you reroll everything that's not a 5 or a 6, and then all of those are lethal, and it doesn't matter what your toughness is, you're just taking a lot of saves at AP 0. Since you can't get cover on a 3-up armor save anymore, you take enough saves that you will eventually just die, and then it's embarrassing because you died to cultists. Additionally, cultists don't cost anything. It's like 110 points for 20 guys, and they just flood the board. So what Business is trying to do is it is 60, 90, like 108 guys with a 4-up Feel No Pain that like regenerate, 4-up Invuln and a Feel No Pain that regenerate. It's a disgusting list. It takes way too hard to chew through, and also hits really hard because of those inherent CSM buffs that you've been seeing a lot of lately. So that is Manny Chima's list. It is actually kind of cool, and it's something I saw Nick play a lot of around at the beginning. Vic also has an Eldar list. I'm going to start going through these a little bit quicker if they're just Eldar list kind of thing we've seen before. We also see the Incarn, we also see Fugan, also Wraithguard, but the really big thing about Vic's list is we have this triple Night Spinner. This is just so obnoxious. It's just dumb. Not that Vic is dumb for taking it, he's very smart for taking it. I mean, the fact that you can take 3 of them, they slow your opponents down a lot. It means, like, their critical units are all just stationary, and they're taking, like, way too much damage for indirect, because the Devastating Wounds doesn't really get ignored by a lot of the Feel No Pain abilities it used to, and then it's twin-linked. The Night Spinner's Doomweaver's twin-linked. So it's 3d6 plus 9 plus 3 times Blast at 702 Devastating Wounds twin-linked indirect fire, which is not, it's too much damage to sustainably take 5 turns, while you're also getting pelted by 10 Wraithguard. Additionally, the Incarn here combos super well with 3 Night Spinners, because like late game or early game, you can pelt your opponent to death, they've lost some resources, Incarn goes in, shoots, then charges and kills something else, and then there's a Fortune the Incarn in your backfield. It's not great. One really interesting thing I haven't seen so far in Eldar lists is the Guide Seer, which I personally really like on my Wraithguard. But you have to make the choice, is it worth 100 points, which also could just be another unit. Obviously, none of the other players did. I kind of like it, but, you know, they just topped LGT, and I obviously didn't. This is something I'm really interested to talk about, this Raven Guard list. Oliver Weiss. So we have an Apothecary Biologist and Kavian Shrike. So Shrike gives his units Lone Op. This guy here makes this aggressor unit kill God, because if you put it in Devastator Doctrine, it's like it's 6d6 plus blast plus 18 shots at strength 4, AP 2, damage 1, ignores cover, fully rolls to hit and wound to lethal 5, sustained 5s. I think I got everything. It's terrifying. You want a unit that kills a Land Raider, or the Avatar, or 20 Necron Warriors, or 10 Lich Guard, or like the Catan, like this is that unit. There's also a 6-man squad of Inceptors with Plasma, which is really interesting, but is actually super awesome against Wraithguard, because you can make it really difficult for them to Phantasm away, and the damage 3 is really good into Wraithguard. There's also 2 3-man squads, so 1 6-man squad, 2 3-man squads, a Land Raider Redeemer, which I assume the aggressors are going to go ahead and ride in, a Land Speeder, which I'm pretty sure buffs the blast weapons, which makes all these Inceptors better. Are they blast? They're not blast. Never mind. I lied. 2 Sniper Scouts, which are Lone Ops. A Vanguard Veteran Squad. Now, this is going to go ahead and be joined to Shrike, so they can't be shot. And then 3 Whirlwinds. That Land Speeder is going to buff those Whirlwinds. 3 Whirlwinds is something that is kind of like 3 Night Spinners. They just get to park in the back. Now, UKTC terrain has these really big kind of defensive ruins in your backfield, similar to like a WT style terrain. It's a great place to park 3 Night Spinners or 3 Whirlwinds. And I tell you, 3 Whirlwinds with Oath is not something you want to be shot at by. It's annoying. It's terrifying. You don't like it. So what is this list trying to do? It's similar to how those other lists are going to try and pelt you. This list pelts you for 3 turns. You're taking more damage than you can from 3 whirlwinds and Oath of Moments, so 4 rolls to hit and wound. Then if you try and close on it, because it's scoring points with these scout sniper squads that you can't shoot, and it's scoring points with a bunch of Inceptors that appear in your backfield, it's got 10 Vanguard veterans and the assault, or the aggressors, that can just kind of pop out and attack you. There's a ton of lone operative in this list, or things are like a land raider or they're hiding behind a wall, so your vectors for shooting back really aren't great. This is also a list that seems very well designed into Eldar, because a lot of its stuff can't be shot by Night Spinners, and 3 whirlwinds means turn 1, your Farseers are dead, turn 2, all of your trash is dead, turn 3, your Wraith Guards start to take a beating at a pace the Spiritseer can't heal out of. Additionally, if you pop out the avatar of the Wraith Guard or something and you just kind of like put him in the center and say, I am awesome, I am fortuned, those aggressors will have something to say about it. They're not very fun. They're really fun if you play them, but it takes a while to roll out. It's great. Fun fact with Quinton time. One time we were trying to do a pre-recorded battle report, which eventually we'll work on. And I had to edit down Jack rolling out this aggressor unit, and it took him 3 minutes to roll it out from start to finish. 3 full minutes of Jack Harpster rolling dice. He was having a great time, and John was not. But by the end, whatever it was shooting at was dead. I think it was like a hero duel. All right. Oh boy, that's a name. Liam Vsl from Team Belgium. I'm so sorry. I am absolutely butchering these names. What else do we have? Okay, so we have Wayleaper, Farseer, Fugan, Spiritseer, Yinkar, and Troopmaster. Troopmaster. So some Harlequins here. I think Harlequins are terrible. That being said, LGT is forcing me to eat my words because there's a lot of players who did really well with a ton of Harlequins. So what did Harlequins lose? They lost advance and charge, they lost fallback and charge, and they lost some damage on their meltaguns. That being said, what they are is still relatively cheap units with like middling to medium combat prowess in a game where combat prowess is much lower these days, that are still very fast, that have access to Eldar stratagems like Phantasm and Fate Dice, that have good fusion pistols if you can get in close. And putting them in Eldar transports means they get a lot of the benefits too, and you can cast spells on them. So obviously here we have 2 Troop Masters, which probably are going to go in these Skyweavers, 2 Night Spinners, a Shadow Spectre, 2 Troops, and then 10 Wraith Guard. So this list is very character heavy, and then it relies on these troops and Starweavers to be very kind of as a like trash potential. It's still kind of hard to kill 5 troops in melee with something dumb, like a Rhino. So you can walk up, shoot it with 3 melta pistols that get a reroll, hit and wound, charge into something else. Additionally, things like Troop Masters and Troops have the grenade keyword, so you can just like throw a bunch of random mortals at your opponents, kind of out of nowhere if they're not expecting it. And those units are still fast. Additionally, the Starweaver's ability is quite cool, because at the end of the fight phase, yours and your opponents, if there's a troop unit, or Harlequin's units, a Harlequin infantry unit, within 6 inches of an empty Starweaver, they can get inside of it. So say you have a Starweaver here, here's a wall, and there's a troop unit here doing something. Well, if you decide you want to get in that boat, they can get inside the boat. And what you end up with is this troop unit that's kind of in this like quantum superposition if you have multiple Starweavers, where it could either get in one or the other, and you don't know until you decide. And that means that the threat ranges your opponent has to measure are actually like hilariously long. So that's what Harlequins do these days. That's probably what Gillium, I'm so sorry, chat. If anyone knows how to pronounce this name, please tell me so I don't massacre it. That's what this list is trying to do with these Harlequins. Okay, so we're getting down to the end of this. We got a few more lists. We have some Dark Angels here. We also have that Apothecary Biologus, some Captain of Gravis Armors. So this is a really interesting list. 10 Deathwing Knights, so 5 Heavy Intercessors, a bunch of Infiltrators, and then 2 Redemptors. So this list is trying to be really big and really thick. Deathwing Knights are awesome for that. Redemptors are awesome for that. This unit of Heavy Intercessors is awesome for that. Additionally, that Captain of Gravis Armor never dies. So that Captain of Gravis Armor is like 7 wounds, 2 up, 4 up, 5 up with half damage. So he's like weirdly tanky, can run around alone. Guillaume, thank you, chat. I appreciate that. Guillaume, I'm sorry. Heavy Intercessors are very cheap for what you get. This unit has 15 wounds at toughness 6, 3 up save, and access to armor contempt for 105 points. Doesn't do anything. No. Does it hold objectives? Yes. And when the rest of your army is 2 Redemptors, a bunch of aggressors, and is there a Land Raider on this list? There's not. Interesting. So that unit's probably going to go in strategic reserves, or just walk up the table. But when the rest of your list is trying to be really thick, having a unit in your backfield, like heavy intercessors that no one wants to shoot at because they're way too much trouble to kill, is an awesome choice. Additionally, the Calidus. Calidus is awesome. Congratulations to Tangly Bits. That's a good name for a list. I like that. Congratulations to, I think it was Aiden. Aiden Brocklehurst for Mind Goblins for getting 8th with Dark Angels. We have another Chaos Space Marine list. There's a lot of Ignite players here. Congrats to Ignite for like sweeping LGT. You guys did awesome. What does this CSM list have? Triple Chaos Lord, Cultist Mob, Double Rhino. Oh. You know, I've seen this list before. Okay, so it seems like Christopher and Liam were on the same team, and they brought the exact same list, and they both did very well, obviously. We have 1st place and 9th place, so I don't know if that was a collaboration, or they both wrote it together, or whatever, but awesome, mad props to both of you, and whoever was the original list author, or if it was a collaboration, you guys did great. The last list in here, we have Glasshammer's Josh Roberts with Chaos Knights. Let's see if there's any big knights in here. No. 2 Lone Ops here with Blue Scribes Changeling. Then 1 Stalker, just have a character. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 Brigands. And then the rest divided by Carnivores. So this is a 12 dog list. It's 1 Stalker, 6 Brigands, 5 Carnivores. I like this a lot. Carnivores, you guys, are terrifying. With Knight of Shades, means they can go through walls in the movement and the charge phase. So the normal way that you have to play around Chaos Knights, where you kind of like screen them out and you like move block between walls, they have to go around you, doesn't really work against them. Additionally, Carnivores hit very hard, and Tank Shock is an amazing stratagem for them. This is a lot of pressure, it's a lot of Havoc multi-launchers, it's a lot of shooting. Brigands are just amazing. And Carnivores are also just amazing. Chess is all of Ignite ran the same Eldar list and same CSM list. It was 3 of each. Went 5-0. Yeah, congratulations to Ignite. You guys are awesome list writers. You did a great job. Just like general mad props to you. Okay, so that is all of the lists in the top 10, which are just all very good lists. So if you're looking at what's dominating 40K right now, here's your answer. I also want to take a few minutes and shout out some people that I know. Mike Porter here going 5-1 with like basically a pure Harlequins list. I looked at it. He had some like aspect warriors. He had some Warp Spiders and Shadow Specters, but by and large, almost always pure Harlequins. Also, additionally, here Anthony Vanilla, Art of War Coach, going 5-1 with World Eaters, only losing in the last round. So, congratulations to everyone at LGT who stayed and played out the whole tournament, which in and of itself is a big accomplishment. And congratulations to everyone who made it to the top. There was a ton of really stiff competition at this event, obviously. The names at the top here are just all incredible players, every one of them. But at the end of the day, only one of them emerged victorious. So let's take some time and let's talk about Liam and his path to the top. So let's start out with this finals. We have Liam's list versus Hugo Ricciardi's Eldar. So like I said, I played this game from the CSM sides, and I've also played this game many times from the Eldar side, so I have a lot of insight into this matchup. CSM are actually pretty solid into Eldar. They're one of the better factions taking on Eldar, especially Liam Vsl's list. The reason why is a lot of his infantry can hide inside of rhinos, or deep strike can be off the table, or it can be unshootable. So the Night Spinners that a lot of Eldar players bringing aren't actually that effective. 3 Night Spinners combining fires might kill a rhino. You get it low. You might not kill it. You might kind of a toss-up. It happens like half the time. Maybe a little bit more if you're willing to use Fate Dice and Guide on Night Spinners and things like that. Additionally, Eldar has a lot of 2 damage weapons. And and Chosen are damage 3. Or sorry, 3 wounds. Which means things like Wraithguard and the Avatar, both the Avatars, are actually weirdly ineffective at killing them. Because the Avatar has to use his big strikes. He can't use a sweep. The Incarn kills one most of the time, but not all the time. And Wraithguard have to roll a 3+ to kill one. Which means you get it most of the time, but if you fail a couple of times, and then you pop Armor of Contempt, or you miss a couple of your attacks, all of a sudden you're only killing 2 or 3 Chosen, and that's not enough. This list has a lot of grenade strats, and more importantly, has a lot of access to devastating wounds, or lethal hits plus full rerolls. Which means that you can just kind of chip down those really tough units. Force Fiends are great into Wraithguard, so they can't really play very aggressive, because you put both the Force Fiends in reserve, then if the Wraithguard push out, you can pop out and shoot them. Additionally, Selesky is really awesome into the kind of squishy elf characters, things like that Autarch that's super annoying, or Farseers that kind of like to run around on their own. Selesky is really awesome because she can Rapid Ingress in an annoying spot, then like go and kill something, and then the Avatar player has to turn around. So the Eldar player has to turn around with something relatively killy to kill her. I've had the Avatar not kill Selesky. It was a really embarrassing day, but he didn't. He just kind of like didn't feel like eating his Wheaties that day. I've also had Wraithguard like not do it. Sometimes she just rolls a bunch of 4-up invulns and doesn't die. Additionally, if you want to shoot her to death, you have to also charge her because then she stands back up. She's just annoying. She's very good into Eldar. She's just very good in general. So, I wish I knew what the mission was here, but I don't. Broadly speaking, I think this is a list that's CSM favored in this particular matchup. Additionally, because Hugo went for a lot of those lone ops, he has less stuff to go and contest Liam when he's kind of all over the board. The CSM list has a lot of things, and the Eldar list is made of relatively fragile pieces, and the CSM list is fast enough and has a lot of enough indirect that it can go and hit things. 2-man Obliterator squads don't kill a big brick of things, but they're really good at dropping down and killing a 5-man elf squad of like Warp Spiders or Shadow Specters, or more importantly, a solo Farseer. An Eldar player has to play really defensive with their Farseers if they're playing into Obliterators, because if one Obliterator drops down within 24 inches, they can just shoot and randomly get lucky and kill that Farseer. And then playing an Eldar without a Farseer is a very different game than playing Eldar with a Farseer, because they don't have access to unlimited 6s. So that, round 10, congratulations to Liam for taking it home. Pretty close game here, 86-65. In round 9, we have Liam playing Nassim, another Eldar list. I think this is one that's actually really favored for Liam, but Nassim here still kept it close because Eldar broken, lol. And the reason why is because when you have 2 squads of Wraithguard, only one can play aggressive. Or you have to be fire and fading the second one, which means your target choices are limited, and you have to kind of plan out what you're shooting ahead of time. Otherwise, Forge Fiends will just tear you apart. Because what you can do is, if there's a Wraithguard squad here, and a Wraithguard squad here, one can Phantasm, but both can't Phantasm. So if your Forge Fiends show up, and they point their guns at both, and they say, whomst will survive, well, the other one's still in the open, and gone. Full rolls to hit, damage 3, and devastating wounds means that Forge Fiends tear through Wraithguard at an impressive clip. Additionally, because they're 10-man squads and Blast kicks in, it becomes 3d3 plus 6 shots, which is me no likey. Okay. In round 8, Liam played Vic. Man, this poor guy just went through 3 of the best Eldar players in the world in a row. He really just did that. Good job, Liam. You really deserved this win. This one was really low scoring. Interesting game here, 48-54. And if I had to make a guess of what happened here, is that both these players played a pretty conservative game. Vic's list does not overwhelm you and punch you in the face, but it plays an awesome, like, kind of control game where units that you need to use are slow so they can't get to objectives, or people run the math on my 5-man squad always kills that thing. I tend not to run the math on my 3-man squad kills that thing, or my 2-man squad kills that thing. And sometimes Night Spinners roll a little lucky and you get 3 6s and that whole Chaos Space Marine squad just died. That being said, Liam definitely has the tools. with Rhinos, with Nerdle-Strat Cultists, with those 2-man Obliterator squads, which are way easier to maneuver because you don't have to drop 4 guys down. Additionally, they're a lot more effort to avoid because 4 Obliterators is a very large points investment. It's close to 400 points. And you can be like, I'm just not going to go there now, run away. But a 2-man squad is very annoying. They called it turn 3 and didn't bother to run the end scores as they're completely tabled. Well, that is not what I originally thought, but that also is totally how this game can go. The thing about Triple Knight Spinners is that it wants to play that control game, but if you don't let it, you just die. Additionally, Vic did not have the Avatar of Cain, so if he gets punched in the mouth really hard pretty early, and as I already said, as we already know, those Chosen can kill the Avatar, Fortunes can kill Wraithguard, Obliterators can kill everything else. Your plan falls apart, and there's not a lot you can do about it, because 3 Night Spinners does a lot of damage over 5 turns. It does not do a lot of damage over 1 turn. I think the 2 players are also on the same team, so it's possible they might have had some practice into each other. Obviously, what we can take away from this is Liam really knows the Eldar matchup and played it pretty flawlessly a couple of times. Round 7, it looks like he had no opponent. I think this was the Shadow round, and I think he was on top, so he probably just went to the top. Unless this is some kind of BCP error, I'm just going to assume this was a Shadow round type of thing, and he got the bye and just went into the top. In round 6, he played Ben Facey, with Grey Knights, bunch of strike squads. This is very different than what Jack has been running. Kind of MSU Grey Knights. Unfortunately, this just dies to CSM. Because you just punch it in the mouth and then it loses. This is like no damage. It's great at scoring objectives. It's the most annoying thing in the world to try and score. But it's really reliant on these 3 librarians to do damage. And if you can screen them out with something like Cultists or Rhinos, you don't really have an awesome option for doing anything. If you just go for a bunch of yellow 9s, they can only miss in one place. Then you can just kind of hit this apart. And as we see the score here, 93 to 41. That being said, obviously a really good job by Ben. He played an army that was very tricky and scores points like a crazy person. I should probably remove that. And then ban them. Whatever, I'll deal with that later. So he obviously made it undefeated to round 6. So great playing by Ben here. I actually kind of want to see how that Grey Knight list plays in action, because it's very different than what I've seen Jack play, where he tends to play these really big brick units of Terminators. But like I said, I think CSM should just kind of up his part, and obviously Liam just won the LGT, so he's a very good player, and that's kind of reflected in the score here. We see 93-41. All right, round 5. Gonna load. Oh boy. Search. Okay. Liam, 180. So pretty tight game here against Sid. What was Sid running? Chaos Knights. The Knights of Knee. Bring us a shrubbery. Man, I'm going to take this time and I'm going to say that the absolute best part of the Warhammer app, A, the fact that it's super useful. B, the fact that the names are now included as part of your roster means that we get the funniest things ever, and I love it. What do we have here? 2 Stalkers, a bunch of Brigands, a bunch of Carnivores. Chaos Knights have a lot of things. And they're pretty good at playing this kind of like box you out control army. And Liam's list hit hard, but it doesn't have Abaddon, it doesn't have a Hellbrute, it doesn't have a big squad of Obliterators. So it's actually going to take him some time to chew through all those dogs. That's probably what happened here. But obviously not like a super tight game here. It was a 14-6, but not a blowout by any means. So good job to Sid, good job to Liam. That's round 5. What we've noticed though is that Liam's kind of fought a variety of opponents, but also a lot of Eldar players. This list really does kind of stand the test of time. Round 4. Let's see if I can't ban this person. I wonder how to do that. not Siegs. Oh, there we go. Let's do that. Okay, cool. Round 4, Liam Vsl versus Connor Leach. What was Connor running? We have Tau. Alexa played Rip and Tear by Mick Gordon. That is an awesome song. I had a boss in a D&D campaign once, and that was his theme song, and it was great because I'd play it in the background whenever he was on the table, and my opponents got this, or my players got this like subliminal fear of the song, and they would freak out whenever I played it, and I'd play it at random times. It was awesome. Anyway, Tau, kind of getting up there. You get a lot of stuff, and it shoots really hard. Aunva, who's annoying. 2 cold stars. 1 with Exemplar of the Kalyan, 1 with Precision Information Hunter. 2 big broadside squads. 1 6-man crisis suit unit. 1, what is this, a 3-man crisis suit unit? I think it's, 3-man crisis suit unit. Then trash. This list shoots hard, you guys. I don't know if you've ever been shot by crisis suits. Wow. They hurt very badly. I was playing a game last night against my good friend, and he had 1 surviving commander shoot me and kill a whole unit with room to spare. And I was like, what? It just happened. And he was like, yeah, well, I have a bunch of shots, and they explode on 6s. This list shoots really hard. That being said, broadsides are quite slow. So if you're able to kind of screen them out, if you're able to keep them back, if you're able to activation lock them with something like a Nurgle Strat or a Rhino, you can kind of beat Tau pretty reliably. That being said, this game was not super close, but not super far. Only a 30-point loss. Good job to Connor. Good job to Liam. It's really interesting how the top kind of shifted to being all Eldar and CSM, but in this kind of these upper mid rounds, round 4, round 5, there's a really ton of diversity. Broadly speaking, I'm very impressed by how well GW did in the balanced data slate. The game is in an incredibly healthy state right now. Not like perfect, but like it's way better than it used to be. All right, round 3. We're getting into early rounds here where basically anything can happen. So who knows what we're going to find. Maybe it'll be like a really fun like triple stompa list or something. All right, Death Watch. Poor Death Watch. 40-point win by Liam, so not particularly close. Bunch of Death Watch veterans, some Inceptor, some Indomitor kill teams. What do those do? Oh, they're the thick ones. So it looks like this list is trying to take advantage of the fact that all of the Death Watch strats are now bolter only, so they just took all bolter stuff. Which works, I guess. Good job. To Jonathan Partridge. All right, round 2. Don't you love BCP, you guys? Did anyone else notice that BCP like died this weekend? But now it's back up, so good job. Nicholas Willengale with Chaos Space Marine mirror match. Okay, so we have, it looks like Abaddon plus Terminators, 2 Forge Fiends, big units of Obliterators, and some trash. So this is the kind of CSM list we used to see a couple like months ago. This is very similar to what Anthony Vanella brought to WTC on Team USA. And this is kind of a battle of the old versus new. This is the old CSM archetype versus the brand new, very heavy MSU CSM archetype. And how close was this game? Let's find out. Not particularly close. Liam Vsl versus Nicholas. I think the MSU version beats the compact version like every time, because the CSM unit basically always kills a CSM unit. Doesn't really matter the size difference. And that Terminator brick is kind of clunky, and it's a lot of points invested to not do a lot when the rest of your army is getting overrun by like gribbly bits. All right, round 1. Yeah, Tau can just lose bad hazardous rolls. Every Tau player I've ever played against is like been fine in that regard. I think I've had a Tau player lose 1 crisis unit the most, but I've also heard stories of Tau players shooting their crisis unit and losing like 7 or 8 guys. Multiple Liams. Oh, this is going to make it hard for me to search. Okay, here we go. Here's our champion. 100 to 15 versus Adeptus Astartes. This was probably a round 1 pairing. Double Redemptors. 5-man tournament. Yeah. I think this was just kind of a case of very good player, probably playing a newer player, someone without like a super hyper-tuned list. And this is about how I would expect that game to go. It's round one, though, very large tournament. So the fun thing about round one of like LGT or LVO or whatever is that you never know what you're going to get round one. I've had a terrible streak recently of playing amazing players like very early in tournaments, but I've also seen people play nobody until round like 5. All right, so let's go back up to those shadow rounds, and starting with round 7, let's talk about what happens, kind of looking very broadly speaking. Oh wow, did people play? What happened here? Round 7. I guess everyone played round 7. I thought only certain people played. Whatever. Okay, top cut. That's what we're looking for. So here's our top cut here. Eldar beats not Eldar. This was our Dark Angels player. Chaos Space Marines beats Eldar. Chaos Space Marines beats, I think this was Eldar. Yeah, Eldar. So again here, Chaos Space Marines beats Eldar. Chaos Space Marines beats Eldar. Eldar beats Space Marines. Eldar beats Space Marines. It's a pretty consistent top meta here, and Eldar kind of have some vulnerabilities, especially in the this kind of MSU CSM matchup. I will tell you, Chris Cultists and Cultists of 4 Pinball Save are so annoying for Eldar players to kill. Because we're taking a lot of these anti-tank weapons these days, you know, Avatars, Wraith Guard, but like not a lot of anti-infantry guns. So if you have like a million dudes, it's just a pain to kill. All right. Round 9, our champions, we have CSM beating Eldar, and then Eldar beating CSM. What was Inigo's list again? How many Spectres did he have? So in this list, we have a lot of trash, a lot of Warp Spiders and Swooping Hawks and Night Spinners. And these are the kind of things that are really good into like those kind of horde things. And Hugo's list had more than other things. Additionally, as chat pointed out, apparently this Autarch killed Abaddon, which is like super funny. And then obviously we have Liam beating Nassim, as we kind of talked about earlier. And then our finals ending up here with Liam versus Hugo. Yeah, so that more or less, I'm going to transition over to this. Ooh, fancy YouTube magic. That was LGT. Really, again, congratulations to Liam. Really awesome performance by everyone who was here. Congratulations to everyone who went. You guys did awesome. You know, it's kind of a struggle sometimes to like find the time to go and play 40K with your friends. So I think everyone at the end of the day who does that is a real victor. So great job. Kind of wish I was there. I'm going to try and make an attempt to go next year. But yeah, CSM are very, very good. Eldar are no longer the undisputed top dogs. And really interestingly, I didn't see like any GSC anywhere near the top. So whether that's the nurse or just people who are not playing GSC have kind of dropped it in favor of other armies, remains to be seen. But I will see you guys around. Hope you have an excellent, absolutely wonderful day. And until next time, goodbye.